Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of the Pipala Show. Very interesting development here, right out of New York City. So, yesterday, Zohran Mamdani won the New York City Democratic mayoral primary against Andrew Cuomo, who was the Democratic governor of the state. And so this is very, very surprising because Mamdani is this progressive candidate. He's only, I believe, in his early 30s. He's backed by AOC, Bernie Sanders, and it's really interesting. So here's a New York Post article, and we'll just briefly read it. Here we go. Dark horse socialist candidate Zohran Mamdani staged a stunning upset Tuesday night by knocking off former Governor Andrew Cuomo in the Democratic mayoral primary. Quote, "Tonight we made history," Mamdani told supporters at his victory party after midnight. In the words of Nelson Mandela, "It always seems impossible until it is done. My friends, we have done it. I will be your Democratic nominee for the mayor of New York City." The 33-year-old Queens Assemblyman defied polls and expectations as he notched a likely insurmountable 7-point lead over Cuomo, the three-term governor who hoped to make a political comeback after resigning in disgrace in 2021. And of course, he resigned because he got a little too handsy with the women. So that's that. You can Google what he did. Quote, "Tonight is his night. He deserved it. He won." A seemingly shell-shocked Cuomo, 67, said as he conceded to Mamdani. So this is really interesting right here. The first round of the ranked choice voting contest had Mamdani ahead with 43.51% of the votes, followed by Cuomo's 36.42 and city Comptroller Brad Lander's 11.31%. Board of Elections unofficial results show Mamdani carried nearly this is really crazy, 432,000 votes to Cuomo's 362,000, the results show. And so who is Zohran Mamdani? Well, of course, he's obviously already in politics, right? But I want to go back to when he really started to get ahead in the polls, when people in the media really started to pay attention to him. So before we do that, these are his platforms, right? This is what he's running on. So he's a really progressive candidate. He's a socialist, basically, is what people are calling him. So he wants to freeze the rent, which I don't exactly know how that'll work. But anyway, he wants to build affordable housing. Okay, admirable, whatever. He wants to create city-owned grocery stores and fare-free buses. And we'll get to that. So he wants to expand and protect gender-affirming care citywide, which, in essence, wants to be able to chop the little kids' balls off. In addition to that, he wants to make New York City an LGBTQI plus sanctuary city, which I thought we already got past this, guys. Let's continue. He also wants to raise the minimum wage to $30 an hour by 2030, which I don't know who's paying for that. He also wants to end the ICE cooperation, which is the law enforcement agency that is trying to save his city, protect his city, because these illegal immigrants are being exploited for cheap labor. Why would you not want New York City residents to have those jobs? They're also committing crime. We saw that last year with the migrant who ended up stabbing a couple people and then walked out of the precinct with the Tupac middle fingers up. And then the other one who burnt the person alive on the subway. But that's his platform, okay? But it's very interesting. So everybody in national media, I feel like, started to pay attention to this guy when they had the debates. And it was a couple people, right? It was Cuomo, it was Eric Adams, but it's very interesting, guys. When this viral moment happened in the primary for the New York City mayoral primary, and this video is what really shot him up. So take a listen, and then I want you guys to all real quick, ask yourselves, Republican or Democrat, what does being the New York City mayor have to do with Israel or any foreign trips to Israel at all? Okay, so that's in your head. Watch this video.
The first foreign visit by a mayor of New York is always considered significant. Where would you go first? Left to right, Ms. Adams.
First visit, I would visit the Holy Land.
Mr. Cuomo?
Given the hostility and the anti-Semitism that has been shown in New York, I would go to Israel.
Mr. Tilson, where would you go?
Yeah, I'd make my 4th trip to Israel, followed by my 5th trip to Ukraine, two of our greatest
Starting to see a pattern.
allies fighting on the front lines of the global war on terror.
Mr. Mamdani.
I would stay in New York City. My plans are to address New Yorkers across the 5 boroughs and focus on that.
Mr. Mamdani, can I just jump in? Would you visit Israel as mayor?
I will be doing, as the mayor, I'll be standing up for Jewish New Yorkers, and I'll be meeting them wherever they are across the 5 boroughs, whether that's in their synagogues and temples or at their homes or at the subway platform, because ultimately we need to focus on delivering on their concerns.
And just yes or no, do you believe in a Jewish state of Israel?
I believe Israel has the right to exist.
He's Muslim, by the way. And this is something that a lot of people on the right are freaking out about. A lot of Jews are freaking out about because this guy happens to be Muslim. Okay, but do you understand what they're all saying? They're all saying we would take a trip to Israel. We would take a trip to Israel. Our first trip would be Israel, 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 Israel. Because those are the people funding their campaigns. Zohran Mamdani, he is not funded by any AIPAC, any Israel organization that's huge, to my knowledge. And so people saw this and people were like, what's this guy about? Because this guy, at least based off this video, is the only one that seems to actually care about people that, live in New York City. And so he started to get a lot of buzz. And then you start to see his campaign ads. And understand something. So, Mr. Mamdani, Zohran Mamdani, has been running against basically baby boomers this whole time. And it's just funny, right? Here's another one. So, we talk about all of these other candidates. We're saying, oh, I would take a trip to Israel, whatever. They're also really, really old. As I've been saying, they're all baby boomers, essentially, right? So, I just want you guys to see Zohran Mamdani's advertisements, his campaign advertisements, because Cuomo ran traditional commercials, right? But Mamdani, on the other hand, he's running ads that are catered to young people, and it actually shows like he cares. I'll play a couple for you.
I just voted for me. And here's the thing. You can vote for you too. Because this race isn't about me. It isn't about Andrew Cuomo. It's about your future and your city. But if you're a young New Yorker, it's easy to feel like your voice doesn't matter. Politicians don't take you or your concerns seriously because they don't think you'll vote. But listen up. If you're under 30, you weren't even alive the last time Andrew Cuomo lived in New York City. So if he thinks he's qualified to be your mayor, you're more than qualified to vote for mayor. Young people are already smashing expectations with surging turnout. But if we want to defeat Andrew Cuomo and his MAGA billionaire donors, we need an earthquake. Because my platform of a rent freeze, fast and free buses, universal childcare, funded by taxes on the rich, could be the difference between you having to move to Jersey City and getting to stay in the 5 boroughs. Early voting runs through Sunday, election day is on Tuesday, and you can go to zohranfornyc.com/poll site to find out where you can cast your ballot. So as they say, no standing, yes voting.
I mean, look at the cutting, look at the editing, look at the font right here of this whole campaign commercial. It's quick, right? You notice how there's not a lot of space in between when he talks. There's different camera angles. It flashes back and forth. It keeps your attention there. He knows how to run this is a grassroots campaign, but you start to see this guy knows how to run a campaign. I like these advertisements. I like what I'm seeing. I get the vibe that this is a young guy with a lot of young energy, okay? And now we continue. So, yeah, he was talking about Andrew Cuomo has not lived in New York City for 30 years, which is a big deal. And we're gonna play another one for you. And again, this is a commercial with a very similar format, but I just want to show you guys how solid of a campaign Zohran Mamdani really did run. Hold on. That's not English. So yes, he a major critique of Zohran Mamdani is that he has kind of been code switching a little bit, and it's a little bit sus because if you're running for mayor of the biggest American city, you should probably, I don't know, run your ads in English. And so naturally, this makes a lot of people, including myself, I'm on the right, a little bit sus. Let's play this.
हमारे कम्युनिटीज के लिए और हर एक न्यूयॉर्कर के लिए मैं हमारे शहर को अफोर्डेबल बनाऊंगा न्यूयॉर्कर्स मुश्किल से अफोर्ड कर रहे हैं रोटी
Guys, that's not English. I don't know what you're saying. All of the billboards in Times Square, they're all in English. I've been to New York multiple times. I'll be going back in November before the mayoral election takes place. Fingers crossed. And so this doesn't seem like something that would turn me on. I mean, I liked everything thus far, but I'm a little sus now. I'm not going to lie. Let's continue.
कपड़ा और मकान मैं ये
What are
सब
you
बदलने
saying? I'm not going to read the subtitles. I want to look at your face. What are you saying to me, an American? Which, by the way, I was born here. Zohran Mamdani, if when you do research, he was not. A little bit sus. Let's continue.
लड़ने के लिए लड़ रहा हूँ रेंट फ्री बसेस यूनिवर्सल चाइल्ड केयर और सस्ती ग्रोसरीज के जरिए पर आपको एक सवाल पूछना चाहता हूँ तुमने कभी किसी को वोट किया because I think that New Yorkers more than they
Oh. So, what you guys have seen is now all of a sudden there's another clip in English. Why are you going back and forth, back and forth? And this is a video that I did plan for it to be in here. So he cuts an ad in a completely different language. I'm not even going to pretend to understand what Islamic language it is. But then, as you're going to see in the rest of this video, Zohran Mamdani, he continues to do what a lot of Democratic candidates for president, Congress, Senate, governor, whatever, have done in the past, which is code switch. So you're going to see him change the way he talks based off of who he's talking to, just like Kamala Harris, just like Hillary Clinton, just like Obama. So continue to watch this video.
hate a politician they disagree with. They hate a politician they can't trust.
On the subject of trust, you've adopted different speaking.
So now he's being cornered by a reporter. The reporter is saying you've adopted different speaking accents. Can voters trust you?
accents in different scenarios.
But they go to their local bodega.
Is there one that's real and one that's affected?
What I would say is, as any immigrant knows, having been born in Kampala, Uganda, and then raised in South Africa and moving here when I'm 7 years old, is there are different parts of my life. Worldwide tour is a worldwide tour is a worldwide tour. Hey, hey.
Mamdani was talking about a worldwide press tour back when he was a rapper.
Bring the flavor to the fish, bring the flavor to the rice.
What? This guy was a rapper? What?
In a Disney movie directed by his mother.
Nepotism and hard work goes a long way. Here in New York City, this is how I speak, this is how I am.
No, it's not. That's not how you speak at all. You're speaking completely different from how you were in that video clip just then. So, this is the problem with Democratic politicians and the inconsistencies. How do you talk, actually?
Do you believe in the First Amendment, Tom Homan?
Oh, Lord. So this is him in a rap video. Huh. Okay, so this guy might be the next mayor of New York City, the largest city in the free world. I don't know. I was starting to kind of feel good about him, but I'm seeing some cracks. Okay, so far what we know is he is a socialist, number one. Number two, he's code switching. He's a code switcher. Okay, but still, I think these policies can maybe help people. No. I think this is interesting. Here is something that I also found out recently. So he is completely against the Netanyahu regime in Israel. What do I mean by that? Well, there's multiple clips of him talking about Netanyahu and stuff that is quite interesting, to be honest. So here's what he says. Here's what Zohran Mamdani says about President Netanyahu coming to New York and what he might do if Netanyahu does step foot in New York. So I'm going to play this for you. We're going to have you watch it, and then we could kind of talk about it after. I think it's quite interesting. Here we go. In 2 seconds.
Mamdani, would you welcome Prime Minister Netanyahu to New York City for whatever he comes for, given the US is not a signatory to the ICC, so he can travel to the US, unlike a lot of other countries. Would a Mayor Mamdani welcome Benjamin Netanyahu to the city?
No. As mayor, New York City would arrest Benjamin Netanyahu. This is a city that our values are in line with international law. It's time that our actions are also.
Even though the US is not a signatory to the ICC?
No, it's time that we actually step up and make clear what we are willing to do to showcase the leadership that is sorely missing.
I'm not going to lie, that's appealing to me. I don't live in New York City. I'll never live in New York City. But I'm not going to lie, I do like that. I like it a lot. I like it a lot. Now, let's shine a light on his policies, what he really wants to do. Because I'm hot and cold on this guy. I don't know. But let's watch this viral clip of a TikTok of Zohran Mamdani and what he says he wants to do in terms of job creation and industry creation in New York City.
Grocery prices are out of control. The cost of eggs and milk has skyrocketed. Some stores are even using dynamic pricing, jacking up the cost over the course of a day depending on what they can get away with. It doesn't need to be this way. I'm Zohran Mamdani, and as mayor, I will create a network of city-owned grocery stores.
And you see, this is the part that I have a problem with. Sorry, I'm a little bit passionate here. I'm hitting the microphone. I don't think more government-owned anything is a great idea. You saw during COVID what happened when the government had all the control. Government-owned grocery stores don't seem to be great. Obviously, regulation will be there. There'll be lots of regulation. And the ability to not operate in terms of wanting to make more money, to be better, that's certainly going to be a factor, I feel like. And in turn, you're probably going to get less quality stuff. You're probably not going to get a lot of quality stuff because government subsidies and stuff like that. It just doesn't seem like this is great. It doesn't seem like giving the government the authority to control the food in a grocery store. This doesn't sound like a great idea. It kind of sounds like Cuba or China, Communist Chinese Party, China, stuff like that. The Soviet Union even. This doesn't sound great. Let's continue.
It's like a public option for produce. We will redirect city funds from corporate supermarkets to city-owned grocery stores.
But how? And how is that constitutional if you have these corporate-owned supermarkets, which these corporations have bought up mom and pops over one time again? And I'm not saying that's good. I think it's quite awful. I think the mom and pops have been the backbone of our country for years and years. But you can't just take away the funds and redirect it to this new government entity. That just doesn't sound constitutional. I mean, this is going to affect jobs within this corporation. You do understand that, right? Let's continue.
Whose mission is lower prices, not price gouging. These stores will operate without a profit motive or having to pay property taxes or rent. And will...
Again, I don't think this is fair. I understand that's the whole idea of socialism and communism. You want everything to be fair, but you're literally saying these stores will not pay taxes, they won't pay rent, they won't have to deal with everything that these other stores are dealing with. It just does not seem fair. And I'm not trying to sound like I'm behind corporations. Quite the opposite. I hate corporations. Corporations absolutely ruin the area that I live in, the area that I'm from. And they ruin the lives of hundreds of thousands of people from the area that I'm from. Don't think that I'm on the side of corporations. I'm not. But I don't think doing it through communism by socialism is a very good idea at all. It's actually an awful idea because it never works on a large scale. Let's see.
Pass on those savings to you. Grocery price.
Again, It always sounds good when people say the government is going to help you. The government is going to help you. Trump gave out $1,800 in stimulus money, and it created inflation, and it created all the shit that we're dealing with now. I don't think this is a good idea. I just don't. And I really don't like him code switching and pretending to be one person with one accent and then living with another accent. Also, he hasn't had a job. So this is from the New York Post as well. I'll just read the article. Zohran Mamdani, and I won't put it on the screen for you, it's really quick. Zohran Mamdani has barely ever had a job with just 3 years in the workforce, including his rap career and a gig for his mom. So he doesn't have much work experience at all. He has a lot of experience in politics. He's already a councilman, I believe is what they said. I don't know, man. It's very interesting, all of this stuff. I don't know. But okay, here's another clip. So is another clip from Zohran Mamdani. He's in this clip he's in a mob, he's in a protest, and he's talking to somebody. At this time, I think he was a mayoral candidate, but I'm not sure. And he's talking to somebody that disagrees with him.
You're running for mayor?
Yes, I can hear it.
Isn't this not First Amendment activity, shutting down a business 3 weeks in a row? How many New York City businesses could tolerate to close their location 3 weeks in a row? This is an economic attack on Tesla. How can you sanction this? You will never be mayor. This is not the use of the First Amendment. This is, step away from me. Don't advance towards me like that. Yeah, you did. You just came.
All right, that guy's being a little hostile. It'd be funny if he was mayor, if he did become mayor. I don't know, man. It's just, here's another clip. Here's another tweet from Zohran Mamdani. Here we go. He said, "We don't need an investigation to know that the NYPD is racist, anti-queer, and a major threat to public safety. What we need to do is, quote, hashtag defund the NYPD." So he was actually asking to defund the NYPD back, and I believe this was 2020. But your deal with NY City Mayor uses budget tricks to keep as many cops as possible on the beat. No to fake cuts. Defund the police. So here, this is a tweet from, does it say when? It doesn't say when. But he was calling to defund the police back in, I assume, 2020, 2021. This is fascinating. I did not know that he did this. In addition to that, there is something right here. Yeah, so he said that. This is so crazy. This is so crazy because the anti-police, the defund the police narrative is very unpopular, and it proved to be unpopular. It really ruined a lot of big cities. And so Donald Trump weighed in. President Trump weighed in on Zohran Mamdani getting the Democratic nomination for mayoral candidate of New York City. And this is what he said. He goes, "It finally happened. The Democrats have crossed the line. Zohran Mamdani, a 100% communist lunatic, has just won the Democratic primary and is on his way to becoming mayor. We've had radical lefties before, but this is getting a little ridiculous. He looks, in all caps, terrible. His voice is grating. He's not very smart. He's got AOC +3, dummies, all in caps, backing him. And even our great Palestinian senator, crying Chuck Schumer, is groveling over him. Yes, this is a big moment in the history of our country." So obviously he's going to do what he does. And I don't know. But what I will say is he does have this anti-Israel sentiment to his whole campaign that really does interest me, because we should not be giving our money to a foreign country that is our so-called greatest ally, and yet they don't do anything for us. Here's what he said about giving money to Israel and Israel organizations. And I think it's really something interesting. It's really something that we should focus on. So here's the video.
My name is Zohran Mamdani. I'm the assembly member for the 36th district in Northwest Queens, and I introduced this legislation which is titled Not on Our Dime. And this is legislation that is saying that New York State will no longer subsidize the aiding and abetting of Israeli settlements. And what that means is that right now in New York State, we have organizations masquerading as charities, sending tax-free money to the tune of more than $60 million a year to help maintain and expand settlements in Israel. And we know that settlements are illegal under international law. And so what we're saying is, if we know under the Geneva Convention this is illegal, if we know that under U.S. foreign policy we're opposed to settlement expansion and annexation, then why is New York State allowing this to happen on our dime? So what we are doing with this legislation is bringing our state in line with its values. And we're saying no longer are we going to allow war crimes to be financed tax-free through New York State. We're going to end that complicity, and we're going to stand for human rights for Palestinians.
You know what? You can't fault him with that. I think that's a good policy. I hope that happens. Truthfully, I really hope that happens. But there's a growing sentiment from wealthy New Yorkers that this is not going to be good, of course, because Mamdani wants to tax the rich. This is no secret. He's talked about this. And listen, it's not affordable to live in New York City, and I'll talk about that in a second. But this is really interesting. So this is from the New York Post. And it says right here, luxury real estate brokers say wealthy New Yorkers are already looking to flee after Zohran Mamdani's primary win. Now, this is not good. The luxury real estate brokers, they bring a lot of money into New York. They pump a lot of money into the city and into the economy. If like half of Wall Street leaves New York and they flee to, they're talking about Miami, for example, it would be catastrophic for the city, and it would not bode well for the economy. So you need those people in there. You need Wall Street to stay in New York. Let's read this article. All right, it says right here, within minutes of Zohran Mamdani clinching the Democratic nomination Tuesday night, real estate agents like Ryan Serhant were flooded with calls from clients looking to walk away from deals to buy apartments in New York City. High-end buyers are now looking to purchase property outside of the city, which is not good. Quote, my number one job will be moving people from New York to Florida, again, Serhant told me. Based on the results, clients are going to hold off on making any kind of investment in New York City. According to a note I reviewed, one client who had made an offer on a Chelsea apartment sent her broker an email minutes after former Governor Cuomo conceded to Zohran Mamdani. Quote, we are going to take a break from looking until there's more clarity on the mayoral election, the client wrote. One Manhattan-based founder who already pays 50% of her income immediately started thinking about moving. Where can we go, she asked me. Other New York-based venture capitalists, founders, and bankers I spoke with said they're already looking at properties in the far-flung locations like Uruguay and Milan and closer to home options such as Palm Beach should Mamdani win the general election in November. Florida real estate agents are already seeing a surge in interest. So this is really fascinating, man. This is not good. If you see this, which, you know, it will happen if he does get elected. He is a socialist candidate. He has come out against all of this stuff. He said he wants to freeze the rent. He said he wants all of these new social programs, which really haven't been implemented at scale per se. And especially in a city like New York City, it'll definitely be new. And it feels un-American, I'm not going to lie. Now, once again, I don't want to sound like I'm on the side of corporations by any means, but that would be really bad. That would be really bad for New York's economy. If all these people see, okay, he says he wants to tax the rich, they're already getting taxed pretty bad in a place like New York City, and it's already really unaffordable. And so to be able to take all those people and force them to leave, force all those people with lots of money that's being spent in the city to leave, that doesn't seem smart. But I don't know. I mean, this guy, he's got a big smile. And he had record turnout. He beat a former governor of New York City, obviously Andrew Cuomo, kind of disgraced. But we'll see what he does when he faces off against Eric Adams in the general election. So Eric Adams is an independent. That election won't be until November later this year. But it'll be very interesting. He's already started with the attacks. Eric Adams has. He called him a snake oil merchant, which was quite interesting. But for all the New Yorkers out there, man, I just don't understand. Like, yes, it's very expensive to live in New York. I completely get it. But, like, at a certain point, why are you making yourself suffer? Because it's so expensive. I see all the TikToks and knowing friends and family that have lived in New York City. Spending all this money just to have the life, just to live in New York City, when you could have such a better life, literally like 90% elsewhere in the country, like 90% of the places. You could have so much more money. You can actually own something rather than renting an apartment for $3,000 a month. It's like 200 square feet. Imagine that. And I've been to these apartments. I've been in these spaces where people in New York, they live. And it's like the bedroom, it's like literally the bed takes up all of the bedroom. The kitchen, the bathroom, and the living room are all the same room. And yet these people love to throw it in our face. Oh, you live in the Midwest. Oh, the Midwest is shit. Oh, the South is shit. It's just the East and the West Coast. These people, they think that they're all of America, but the middle of America is truly the heart of America because you can make that dollar stretch. It's so crazy. I saw a TikTok of a guy that was talking about his lunch, his sandwich alone is $25 in New York City, and it's like, yeah, of course. But if you continue to complain, you continue to suffer in this place that is obviously very expensive and very hard to live in, right? We can talk about that. Instead of going to a Midwestern state, a state, even like a New Jersey, a Connecticut, states that are still expensive, but you can still have a better cost of living. You could take the train to work instead of living in the city. But even, man, taking a pay cut, going to a place that's more affordable, you would be able to have more money. You would be able to actually own. So in a way, I don't really feel sympathy for these people because they love to make fun of middle America all the time and continuously talk about how they're better than middle America. And yet, look at these people. They're about to elect a socialist mayoral candidate as mayor. And who knows? I feel like the Islamic extremism attached to Mamdani is a little bit much. I mean, I've seen his wife. His wife is wearing nothing, really. She doesn't really wear anything. She doesn't wear the hijab. She doesn't wear any of that. She's out there. Not to say like she's a slut or whatever, but she's normal. She wears normal clothes. So I don't think that he's an Islamic fundamentalist per se. I mean, yes, I would be a little bit sketched out. I'm a little bit skeptical because this is a Christian country and he is Muslim. So there is that. I also do find it funny how 25 years ago 9/11 happened, and then you would have never thought that 25 years later they would elect a Muslim mayor. Nevertheless, religion aside, I do know a good amount of people that are Muslim, and they are all peaceful, so let's not go around calling this guy a terrorist either. But, I mean, listen, he has a good smile. He obviously wants to help people. I don't think it's going to be good by any means. I think you're crazy if you still live in New York and you haven't moved to a more affordable state yet. But, you know, these people are already depressed. There's that study that came out I feel like a year ago. It said people that are on the left are more likely to have depression, and it shows. I would be depressed if I lived in a 200 square foot apartment, paying $3,000 per month as well. I would definitely not be happy. So naturally, these people are just hanging on it, or they're going to look for any hope. So we'll see. We'll see if he beats Eric Adams, if he becomes the next mayor. I don't know, man. I don't know. Let's play one more. I want to play one more ad, and then this is why, okay? You have to, even though I'm on the far right, you have to really respect what he did because he beat all of these boomers and he ran a grassroots campaign. Here's another TikTok.
My team says I move my hands too much in these videos, so for this one, they're staying in my pockets. The other day on the subway, I met a New Yorker. But get this, they vote in California. I know this is true for many of you. You're Democrats who've chosen not to vote here because you believe your vote counts more elsewhere. Every 4 years, you vote absentee from your parents' address in Philly or 3 apartments and go in Atlanta. But come on, you live here. I get it, I do.
Keep them in your pockets.
Especially after this last election. We all wanted to defeat Donald Trump, and New York felt like a lock. But in many ways, this election, Trump's back on the ballot. We have a choice between Andrew Cuomo, funded by the same billionaires who put Donald Trump back in the White House, and our campaign, who will tax billionaires to make the city affordable. It's a referendum on where our party goes. So in just this one instance, ask yourself, WWDFGD, what would a disgraced former governor do? Well, Cuomo changed his registration immediately after not having lived here for more than 30 years. So if he's voting from his new address, so should you. With just single digits between us and Andrew Cuomo, your vote can make the difference. You have until June 14th, this Saturday, to change your registration in New York City. So head to ZohranforNYC.com/vote. Let's win this thing. I do.
Keep them in your pockets.
Say what you want, man. He's likable. Say what you want. I don't agree with any of his policies besides the anti-Israel policies. Say what you want. He is likable as shit. He's likable as shit. That's it. Like, I can understand why he had, I don't know if the movement's actually grassroots, but say what you want. I can see why people wanted to vote for him. So the Democratic Party at large is all over the place. But according to Mamdani, he was on Jen Psaki's NBC show recently, and he said that this is where the Democratic Party wants to go, in this socialist way, which we all kind of knew it, but he's saying it out loud.
I think it is part of a larger referendum on where our party goes. And I think one of the hopes that we had from the very beginning of this campaign was to move our political instinct from lecturing to listening. You know, at the national level, after the presidential election, we saw that New York was actually the state with the largest swing in the country towards Donald Trump, 11.5 points, and that swing took place far from the caricature of Trump voters, instead taking place in the hearts of immigrant New York City. And I went to those neighborhoods. I went to Fordham Road in the Bronx and Hillside Avenue in Queens, and I asked those New Yorkers, the vast majority of whom were Democrats, why they voted for Trump and what it would take to bring them back to the Democratic Party. And again, what I heard from them was cost of living, was an inability to afford the very things they recalled being able to purchase 4 years ago. And when they told me what it would take, they said again and again, a relentless focus on an economic agenda. And ultimately, in listening to them, we built a campaign that was explicitly about making this city affordable.
We'll see if he does it. I really don't think that, I don't know if freezing rent is going to be able to help the economy, because somebody has to pay that rent, right? And if you do tax the rich, then the rich are going to leave, and you thrive off of Wall Street. You're largely functioning because of all this Wall Street money being pumped into your city, your economy, everything. I just don't know. I don't know. Here's one more tweet for you, and then I promise you we will be done talking about this. But this is a very fascinating development that's happened. Here we go. So this is from.
It's part of a larger referendum.
Sorry, fellas. This right here is a tweet from a guy named Christopher Lockheed. Okay, and this is very, very intriguing. So he goes, I asked Grog how much of New York City's GDP could be at risk with far-left socialist Zohran Mamdani as mayor. Quote, a Mamdani mayoralty could risk 10 to 20% of New York City's 1.3 trillion GDP, anywhere from 130 to 260 billion, reflecting the cumulative impact of his $10 billion tax hike. $30 per hour wage, rent freezes, and city grocery stores, amplified by the, quote, defund the police, public safety fears, and then end quote. I mean, the only reason that I find him appealing is because of his anti-Israel sentiment. But to cap this off, he wants to defund the police. I mean, he said that. We pulled up that tweet. He wants to freeze the rent. He wants to have city grocery stores, and then he wants to have a $30 per hour wage. And on top of that, once again, they're saying 10 to 20% of New York City's GDP will be gone. What I will say is the progressives now, they can't complain if this doesn't work, which we'll see. I hope that the people of New York City get what they want and that they're able to have a more affordable life. I'm not saying that they shouldn't have that. I'm not saying that I want that to happen. I want people's lives to be better, and let's hope for the best. We'll see. But, like, people like Kyle Kalinske should, like, if this doesn't work, I don't want to hear the crying and say, oh, progressives, Republicans got in the way, or the Democratic establishment got in the way. Like, no, you're going to have everything you want, probably. So we'll see what happens, man. We'll see. I don't know. Again, I love the anti-Israel stuff. Bring it on. Bring it on. There's no reason why New York should be funding Israel like they are. But we'll see. That might be the show. Apologize if this has been a shitty podcast. Just a new development, and I really wanted to talk about it. We'll end this with one thing, okay? So, obviously, Zohran Mamdani, learning how to say his name, is a Muslim. If you ever wondered why Muslims are aligning with the left now as they're coming into our country rather than the right, here's a video where an Islamic preacher, I don't even know what they're called, but he's talking about why they go with the left, because the people on the left don't have principles. Take a listen.
When I was an extremist, Islamist, fundamentalist, I would only vote left. When I was an extremist, Islamist, fundamentalist, I would only vote left.
Why is that?
I saw them as very stupid. I would fear the conservatives because they come with principle. That's not someone they can brainwash. But the left, I know they have no values and no principles to begin with. I dare you to find one Islamic extremist that votes for Donald Trump. Never do it. They'd give their vote to the leftist who wants to run around in pride parades. And Islamic extremists are against gays and homosexuals and transgenders, but they want the left to go and get busy with that. They want them, go speak about the climate, go speak about abortion, go kill yourselves, go do that. And Omar, she's fighting for abortion rights and all the other, my body, my choice. Yes, go do that. But would she have an abortion? Never. Never. Would she kill a Muslim in her stomach? Never.
What is the fundamentalist and jihadi agenda for America?
The future of America has to be Muslim.
I don't mean to fearmonger folks, but like that's a former Islamic fundamentalist saying all that, saying how they take advantage of the left. And I think some people on the left have good points, but it's like, come on. At what point are we just going to keep letting people come into our country? You know? We'll see. We'll see what happens. I truly hope for the best in New York City. I really do truly hope for the best. I hope that their quality of life improves. But like they had all the opportunities to move anywhere else and have a better life. But for some reason they chose to keep suffering, which is what people on the left have done for the past decade, it feels like. So, we'll see what happens. I don't think it's going to work, but I hope it does. That's it. That's the podcast. So, give the show a like, a subscribe. We are so close to getting monetized. I think we have like 60 watch hours left, I think. Come on. Do it. Hit the follow button. Watch all my shit. Watch all our shit. I have 2 podcasts on here. Come on. Let's take over the world together. That's all it is. So thank you, and we'll see ya.